Chapter 1. Laney Swann clutched her designer bag tighter as she weaved in and out of the crowded sidewalk. Why did the crowd have to be so thick today, on the one day she overslept? Normally, she was out the door by 6 a.m., giving her plenty of time to get uptown, stop at the coffee shop, and make it to work by 8. But sleep had eluded her last night, and she'd slept through her alarm. Now, she was paying the price. She flipped her delicate silver watch around to read the face and quickened her pace. She was going to be so late, and Victoria Bonovich detested tardiness. It was a fireable offense in her book if you stepped in the office even a minute late, and Laney couldn't afford to lose this job. She'd moved to the city with big dreams but a small savings after college. If she lost this job, there would be no paying her rent, and she'd have to go home. A nervous spring coiled in her stomach. She couldn't lose this job. "Watch it," a man's voice cried out as she squeezed between him and another man with a cell phone glued to his ear. "Sorry," she called back, but her head never turned. Turning around would cost her precious seconds, and she had none to spare. Her heart was thudding a constant drum of the precious seconds slipping away. A tendril of blonde hair appeared in her vision, and she blew it off her forehead. Great. Now, not only was she late, but her hair was eking out of its sprayed mold. Another issue she would have to remedy before seeing Madame Bonovich, or the man-eater, as they called her in the office. The woman was fearsome. With short gray hair, hawkish eyes, and thin lips which rarely smiled, she exuded a no-nonsense air wherever she went. But Laney enjoyed working for her. Mostly. She had learned so much in the 6 months she had been at this agency, even though she was still just an unknown assistant to Madame Bonovich. Actually, she had learned so much from Myra, the makeup artist she assisted before photo shoots. But Laney still hoped to become Madame Bonovich's assistant one day. Then she would have a chance at becoming a well-known makeup artist herself. At least she had received the promotion to coffee gopher the last month. It gave her a chance to interact with the man-eater, if only for a minute. However, today it could be her downfall. Only 15 minutes remained to obtain the coffee and return to the office, and it wasn't looking good. Laney stepped up her pace a little more. Not too fast, though. The last thing she wanted to do was trip, and sadly, she was a bit of a klutz. "Excuse me," she said as she pushed through another clump of pedestrians. Why did it seem as if people walked slower and in impenetrable groups whenever she was in a hurry? The busy city was always like this. She knew that. But her need to move at a faster pace exaggerated the normal bustling bog and edged her anxiety up another notch. At last the coffee shop came into view. Sweet relief flowed over her, even though her feet ached already from the rigorous pace she had set the moment she stepped out of her door. The 4-inch heels were a requirement in the agency, something that had taken Laney months to get used to. And though she agreed they added style to her outfit, her feet were not fans. They screamed for a nightly soak, and she had purchased so much Epsom salt in the last few months, she should buy stock in the company. A sigh billowed out of her lips as she pulled open the door, and the spring coiled tighter. At least 4 other people stood in line. Laney bit her lip and checked her watch again. 13 minutes remained. Her foot began a rhythmic cadence on the floor, the impatient tapping garnering a few irritated stares. But Laney didn't care. She didn't have time to care. The man in front of her turned around. "You appear to be in an awful hurry. Would you like to take my spot?" "Could I? That would be amazing." Laney stepped in front of the man, but remained facing him. He had the most arresting eyes. "My boss is a bit of a time manager, if you know what I mean. If I don't get her coffee and get back to her in just over 10 minutes, she blew out a puff of air, "I don't even know what will happen, but it won't be good." The man said nothing, just raised an eyebrow at her. But Laney couldn't shut her mouth. Perhaps it was his beautiful blue eyes. She had always been a sucker for blue eyes. Normally it's not an issue, but last night sleep evaded me. I just tossed and turned. So when my alarm clock rang, I guess I didn't hear it, though I must have turned it off because it wasn't still going off when I did finally wake up. Sadly, by then I was running late, and now I'm in danger of incurring her wrath. Laney paused as the man's lips pulled into a smirk. "What?" He pointed behind her toward the register. "I believe it's your turn to order." "Oh, right. Thank you." A heated flush crawled up her face as she turned to face the woman behind the counter. She had made a fool of herself with the handsome man behind her. Why did her mouth always seem to run unchecked whenever she was nervous? "Can I help you?" "Yes, Laney cleared her throat and forced her mind to focus. She could berate herself later. "I need a tall caramel macchiato and—" She shook her head. Even after a month, she didn't have Madame Bonavich's order memorized. But who could blame her? It had to be the longest order she had ever seen. "Sorry, just a second." Her fingers rifled in her purse until they touched a folded piece of paper. She pulled it out and unfolded it. "A double ristretto venti half-soy non-fat organic chocolate brownie iced vanilla double shot gingerbread frappuccino extra hot with foam upside down double blended, 1 sweet and low and 1 NutraSweet." The cashier blinked and a momentary shell-shocked expression covered her face. Then composure set in, and she rang up the order and picked up 2 cups. Laney felt sorry for the woman. She merely had to read off an order, but this woman had to put that nonsense on a cup in a way that the barista making the coffee would understand. Not for the first time, Laney wondered if Madame Bonavich ordered this drink because she enjoyed it or because she relished putting others through the ringer. With the bill paid, Laney continued down the line to stand at the other end, where the barista placed completed drinks. She kept her eyes on the floor to avoid seeking the nice man again. He didn't need another verbal diatribe from her. 9 more minutes. She was cutting it so close. The office was just around the corner, but her high heels kept her from running, so she'd have to opt for long strides and hope for the best. "Caramel macchiato and gingerbread frap," the barista called as she placed the 2 drinks down. "Thank you." Laney flashed the woman an apologetic smile as she grabbed the drinks. As she pushed open the door, she realized she should have asked for a tray. A cup in each hand made it nearly impossible to adjust her purse strap, which kept threatening to slip off her shoulder with every step. Unable to stop, Laney adjusted her body by throwing her right shoulder as high into the air as possible, in hopes gravity would keep the purse strapped there. She must look a sight. Hunched over to one side, Madame Bonavich would blow her lid if she saw Laney, but it was this or arrive late with the woman's coffee, and Laney honestly didn't know which would be worse. A sigh of relief spilled from her mouth as the office came into view. She would not chance looking at her watch, but she figured she had a few minutes to spare. However, she also had a conundrum. How was she going to open the door? She hated taking the chance, but stacking one cup on top of the other appeared to be the quickest option. Before her mind changed, she set the venti on top of her cup and secured it with her chin. Then she reached for the door handle. But as her fingertips brushed the cold metal, the door swung open. The force knocked her backwards. Her chin lifted from the lid of the cup, and without something to secure it, it teetered. Laney observed in slow motion horror as the cup not only fell off its perch, but onto her chest. The lid popped off and flew through the air as the contents of the drink spilled down Laney's front. Her body finally unfroze when the searing hot liquid broached her skin. Laney jumped farther back, sending the venti cup crashing to the pavement. "I'm so sorry. Can I help?" Anger flared in her stomach, and Laney flicked her eyes up to take in the perpetrator before she let loose her vitriol on him. However, the flame fizzled at the sight of the young man with glasses who stood gaping at her. His wide eyes held an apology, and his baby face placed his age in his early 20s, probably a college intern. She swallowed the harsh words she wanted to bark at him. If she'd had Madame Bonavich's coffee order written anywhere else, she would have given him the paper and told him to go replace the coffee. It would be late, but perhaps late was better than never. But she didn't. "No, it's fine. I'll take care of it." She didn't know how exactly. The only option she had was giving Madame Bonavich her drink, which probably wouldn't sit well with the woman. She could only hope she was in a good mood. "Again, I'm so sorry." The man ducked his head and scurried away, looking like a scolded puppy with its tail between its legs. Laney spared one glance at her formerly white shirt, now stained brown, and sighed. She was late. She didn't have the woman's coffee, and she looked like a slob. These were not the makings of a good day.